What we're seeing now, as marketers have started to become much more involved because more of their budgets are being allocated towards programmatic than ever before, their desire for transparency actually extends all the way through to the publisher. So the questions that we're getting now is not so much that there are no buy-side fees or undisclosed fees. Those have been table stakes for Index for a long time. But they're actually, what are your fees? What is the actual rev split that Index shares with its publishers? Because they want to understand how much of their media dollar is actually going towards working media. So that's a level up of the conversation around transparency than we've been having previously.
So what are some of the issues that you hope to solve, and also what the industry should solve, and sort of what are some of the perceived problems?
Yeah, for Index, we just feel that for far too long, the middle has taken too much of the value from the equation.
The middle, could you explain that?
So the exchange itself. So the transactional cost of delivering an impression on behalf of an advertiser to a publisher could cost up to 30–40% of the working media dollar. What our job at Index is to make the relative cost of each transaction as low as possible, so low that you don't even need to think about it anymore. And so largely what we're geared to do is create the efficiencies in the middle that return value to both the marketer and the publisher, and that we function truly as an exchange.
I see. And tell us about the demand of the kinds of companies that are getting into programmatic now, the kinds of deals and arrangements they're looking for to creating either private or open.
Right, so we're seeing probably the largest segment of buyer, or growing segment of buyer on Index Exchange, is actually marketer-owned seats. Whether they're doing that in conjunction with an agency or part of a larger in-housing operation, but they have a seat at the table, they're controlling all their own spend directly. And what they desire more than anything at this point is that they want to have direct commercial relationships with publishers. So now that the exchange effectively works as a transactional go-between for those two parties, they want to start to have more interesting or varied commercial relationships with those publishers. They've long done it through digital investment or through typical analog agreements. They now want to bring those contracts into programmatic in a way that they couldn't really do before because the supply chain was too opaque. It wasn't necessarily clear who was on the other end of those transactions. Now that a lot of the transparency has leveled up their vision towards publishers, they can actually start to create more unique contracts. Now those contracts could mean different kinds of open market efficiencies, but often they mean some sort of direct private marketplace development.
I see, and I also wanted to ask you sort of what you hope happens in the next year around programmatic, the way that sort of the industry is perceived or that it operates.
Yeah, so I would say our big bet is that we hope that we can bring more addressability to programmatic than there has been.
What do you mean by addressability?
So right now, for a lot of marketers, one of the best applications for their data is to go to Google, is to go to Facebook. They already have invested years into developing their CRM files, and they have two very good places to deploy them. The rest of the programmatic channel is not nearly as robust from an addressability standpoint. So the Identity Consortium, which is a partnership across many different companies in the space, many who are often competitive, is a way of creating value to the rest of the bid stream so that it is as addressable as Facebook and Google is today.
And how will that look, and how does that play for Index Exchange?
Well, for us, it's just a matter of if we process X amount of bid requests a day, but we can process X more because those bid requests are augmented with identity and help marketers reach their target audience. It just means that the exchange itself becomes more efficient because more of the bid requests become monetized.